folks, welcome to Movie News Monday, where every single Monday live on Twitch, we cover what is going on in the world of entertainment. We're talking movies, television, MCU, DCUs, all the U's, you get it. So if you're stopping by, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Leave a comment. Let me know what kind of movie news you want me to talk about. But in the meantime, folks, you take a week off and suddenly there's an entire Star Wars movie that was supposed to happen that got canceled. If you haven't seen this already, and to be quite frank with you, I would be shocked if you had not heard about this. Adam Driver revealed in an interview that there was a sequel era film that was canceled called The Hunt for Ben Solo. This would have been a sequel starring Ben Solo, Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, following the events of The Rise of Skywalker. And according to Adam Driver himself, Lucasfilm was all on board with the idea of the movie, but Disney said no. Now, let me start off by saying I don't want to call myself a Disney defender because that's gonna give folks the wrong impression, but I have certainly enjoyed the fact that we have gotten more Star Wars. I did like the sequels. Last Jedi was my favorite, so I know, if you want to leave your hate comment now, you want to get it out of the way, that's okay, you're entitled to your opinion. I did enjoy The Last Jedi the most, and I think like most people, I was kind of disappointed by Rise of Skywalker. I liked parts of what they did with it, but it really did just feel like a film made by committee. All that being said, you know, everything that's been happening in the television front, I think has been pretty great. And everything, most everything that's been happening in the television front has been pretty great. I have recency bias because I'm thinking about Andor and I'm thinking about the Skeleton Crew. And those were great. But maybe not everything else. So, thinking about what else is going on in the world of Star Wars, well, we've talked about this before. We've had a handful of recently canceled projects. We had Wonder Woman director Patty Jenkins that was going to be doing a Rogue Squadron show. We had, a David Lindelof trilogy. We had a Rian Johnson trilogy. We had so many different things that were supposed to be happening that still haven't happened. And now our first return to the big screen is going to be the Mandalorian and Grogu movie that just looks like season 4 of their show put on the big screen just based on the single trailer we have so far. So it's crazy to think that we had a Star Wars movie that almost happened that Disney shut down. So obviously once this got revealed, everyone was dying for some more information. And that's when we found out that Steven Soderbergh, who collaborated with Adam Driver on Logan Lucky, was the director and writer attached to this movie. And Soderbergh revealed that The Hunt for Ben Solo was the first time that Lucasfilm had a completed script that was rejected by Disney. So I know a lot of folks, again, I'm not a Disney defender by any means, but I do know that a lot of folks have speculation that a lot of what has been wrong with Star Wars has been because of Disney's interference. And here we are kind of finding out that actually maybe Disney hasn't been interfering nearly as much as we have allegedly thought. And to this point, this is the first time that Disney actually gets in there and straight up just killed a movie. Soderbergh said, I asked Kathy Kennedy if Lucasfilm had ever turned in a finished script for a green light to Disney and had it rejected. She said no, this was the first. So some folks did some additional digging, and shout out here to the playlist who put together this incredible piece talking about everything that happened here with the canceled Hunt for Ben Solo movie that Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver were putting together. So playlist confirms that the film was well advanced, far beyond development. It had a completed script, a full creative stamp of approval from Lucasfilm, including Kathleen Kennedy, and it was greenlit internally before Disney executives Bob Iger and Alan Bergman actually canceled the movie. So what happened that made this movie get fast-tracked as much as it did, and what happened that made this movie get disappeared, essentially? Look, personally, and this is 100% just based on vibes and not any actual confirmation that I got, I totally thought Adam Driver was just like over Star Wars and wanted nothing to do with it. And maybe it was just that Adam Driver was over Rise of Skywalker, but he did have some actual care and love for the character. So all that to say, so he worked with Steven Soderbergh to put this script together. The film was operating under the codename Quiet Leaves. Beautiful. And it had a finalized screenplay and was entering early prep and staffing stages. So this article goes on to explain that Soderbergh and Driver had collaborated with Soderbergh's wife and partner, who was the co-writer on Logan Lucky, as well as bringing in famous Lucasfilm fixer Scott Z. Burns, who is the screenwriter of the film Contagion, but he is also the writer who was uncredited for doing a lot of the fixing work on Rogue One before Tony Gilroy, who would go on to create and run the show Andor, actually came in and really did the final cleaning up. So Kathleen Kennedy, Dave Filoni, and Carrie Beck were directly involved throughout development, and they were very enthusiastic about the drafts. When the final script, budget, and proposed start date were delivered to Disney, it marked the first time Lucasfilm had ever presented a fully approved project that did not move forward. Let's let that sink in a little bit. And again, you know, for the people in the back, especially the people in the back who have been even more pessimistic regarding the state of Star Wars and the state of Star Wars under Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, president of Lucasfilm, and Dave Filoni, the guy who's ran the Lucasfilm Creative Group, were all on board and ready to go for this film. And in the end, they took it to Disney with a green light, with staff, with a creative staff, with a start date. Hey, we can start production on this date. And Disney said no. Sources say that Alan Bergman, took an unusually long time to read the script, and when he and Iger finally responded, their primary concern was narrative continuity, specifically uncertain about how Ben Solo could be alive following the events of The Rise of Skywalker. They felt the story's logic. Lucasfilm, on the other hand, felt that the story's logic was clear and creatively sound. Now, this was the part that had come out much sooner in the process, that Bob Iger and Alan Bergman's feedback was, well, how is Ben Solo alive if he died in The Rise of Skywalker? And so many people's feedback to that, and my thought initially was, I cannot imagine there's a world where this script exists and doesn't explain that in a way that makes sense. And in a franchise where specifically The Rise of Skywalker has a moment that is so narratively and creatively bankrupt to the point of just being somehow Palpatine has returned, that it has become a meme. It is full on a joke on the internet how ridiculous of a expository vomit that is, that for some reason, no, whatever it is they came up here for explaining away how Kylo Ren, Ben Solo, is alive, I just can't believe there's a world where they didn't make it make sense. And so regarding how and why this is all coming up now, Soderbergh and Drivers consider the film permanently shelved and no longer bound by NDAs or contractual restrictions, as the film is internally classified as dead. So, although we now know of this film's existence, and although we have, flyers that are popping up around Los Angeles, and people are hiring uh, planes to ride banners and skywriters that are saying Hunt for Ben Solo needs to happen, it is unlikely that we are going to see this movie move forward. I will say, I do respect the fact that Adam Driver and Soderbergh have been open to talking about what's happened. And I do like this kind of energy of calling out the executives for really stifling the creative process. I know that the last Movie News Monday we did a couple weeks ago, we talked about how Channing Tatum was specifically calling out a producer by name for really holding up the 23 Jump Street sequel that they already had a script for, that everybody was really creatively on board with. All the producers and the lead stars were ready to take reduced fees so that it would be cheaper to go into production, but one specific producer holding out was making that whole thing impossible. I like seeing that the creatives that are actually fueling this industry are getting passionate and are pushing back. Because folks, ultimately, at the end of the day, if Adam Driver and Steven Soderbergh have an idea for a Star Wars movie and they're so excited about it, and Lucasfilm is excited about it, and everyone's behind it, those are the Star Wars movies we want to see. We don't want to see, corporate mandate states that, oh, this show was really successful and we haven't had a movie on the big screen for a while, so instead of making Mandalorian season 4, let's make a movie and put it on the big screen. Like, we don't want forced, regurgitation. We don't have, we haven't had a Star Wars story in a while, so let's have John Levy do something like, and no shade to those filmmakers and the people that are putting that together, but like forcing something to happen because you need to hit, it's been so many years, we need a movie in theaters, versus you have filmmakers that are clearly excited for something to happen. Why wouldn't you move forward with that? So Hunt for Ben Solo, will we ever see this movie? Unfortunately, I don't think it's the case. Maybe we get lucky, who knows? Maybe some story elements will get swallowed into whatever this Daisy Ridley sequel movie they're making is. Maybe we'll see it developed into a comic book or into some novelization at one point, because Star Wars does have a lot of, print literature media. But as a movie, unfortunately, I don't think it's going to happen. Which is a shame. Is such a shame. We're really missing out. We have been talking about the will they, won't they of Warner Brothers pending sale. If you haven't been keeping up, we've covered it extensively on the broadcast. So, hey, check out our backlog and you'll get the full story. But Warner Brothers Discovery is officially unmerging. And with that, it means that Warner Brothers is technically for sale. And a lot of studios are jumping at the opportunity to acquire what is one of the longest running, most successful studios. Well, most successful this year. But one of the oldest studios in Hollywood. Warner Brothers was one of the big four back in the day. It's over 100 years old as a studio. And this year, Warner Brothers has had some of the best success at the box office with movies like Sinners, movies like Weapons, Superman. So Warner Brothers, by all accounts, is doing well, but not well enough, because Discovery has decided that they have buyer's remorse and are unmerging. And with this being the case, studios like Netflix are very curious on the possibility of acquiring Warner Brothers. So Netflix has officially retained financial advisory firm Moelis & Co. to explore a potential bid. Netflix has been very coy at the opportunity, whether or not they want to or don't want to buy Warner Brothers. It's no secret that Netflix originals are kind of having a little bit of a bad taste in people's mouths, specifically in the TV division. Their films are still doing quite well. But we talked about it a few weeks ago, how Netflix is actually removing the Netflix original branding from some of their shows. So I think they're aware that they have a little bit of a branding issue, and to acquire the 100-year catalog of Warner Brothers and all the tremendous amount of IPs that they have available would be a very big deal. Ted Sarandos, CEO, and Greg Peters, the other co-CEO, said, they've been trying to shut down the speculation about this happening. You have to do the hard work of developing the capabilities in the trenches day by day. You don't get there simply by buying another company that is still developing those same capabilities. So he's kind of like touting this attitude that like, well, we don't get success by just buying a brand. We have to build a brand. And Ted Sarandos added, we've been very clear in the past, we have no interest in owning legacy media networks, so there's no change there. That being said, that doesn't mean that they're not kind of flirting with the opportunity. And this comes right off the heels as Warner Brothers has rejected a secondary bid of Paramount. Paramount initially made an official bid to purchase not just Warner Brothers, but Warner Brothers Discovery, the full entity. The company basically said no. They said we were way too low price. Warner Brothers said it's initiated a strategic review process in light of some of this unsolicited interest. So Warner Brothers tried to play coy and be like, we weren't for sale, but all these people suddenly want to buy us. So I don't know. We'll think about it. But interestingly, why is Paramount Skydance, I keep wanting to just say Paramount, but they're officially Paramount Skydance. Why does Paramount Skydance keep wanting to buy Warner Brothers? They have now tried twice. Well, wouldn't you know that the Trump administration has a little bit of a buy-in in this. The Trump admin wants Paramount buying Warner Brothers. A senior Trump official said Warner needs to think really hard about the odds of success getting the deal cleared with players outside of Paramount. Now, this comes after Paramount has had a very, very clear and decisive turn in favor for the Trump administration. CBS and Paramount have paid out settlement money to the Trump administration, and they did certain things like let go of the late night show with Stephen Colbert, so that they could be in good favor with Donald Trump personally, who is not a fan of Stephen Colbert. And immediately after that happened, suddenly this crazy giant merger of Skydance and Paramount went through. And now Paramount is owned by the Olsens, who are very friendly with the Trump administration, and in fact just recently helped secure the massive TikTok deal of acquiring all of the US-based servers for TikTok and everything else going on there. So what do you know that maybe this administration has an interest in owning and securing another massive brand in their favor. Thankfully, though, we have folks who are committed to making sure that that doesn't happen. The Writers Guild of America say that they plan to help block Paramount from buying Warner Brothers, if at all possible. Combining them would be a disaster. Their full statement here: merger after merger in the media industry has harmed workers, diminished competition and free speech, and wasted hundreds of billions of dollars better invested in organic growth. Combining Warner Brothers with Paramount or another major studio streamer would be a disaster for writers, for consumers, and for competition. And that is just the absolute truth. So there would just be no winning for anybody if we had another major studio come in and try and purchase Warner Brothers. And like I said, it's just Warner Brothers has had a successful year. Warner Brothers has had a successful 100-year history. They have been cursed with some terrible, terrible mergers. Time Warner, AT&T, so many other different media entities that have come through owning Warner Brothers. If they could just stand alone for their little bit, maybe reduce in size, reduce operations a little bit, I really think they could make it. I really do. So Who knows? Who knows? Will it be Paramount? Will it be Netflix? I have no idea. No, I mean, look, realistically, like let's think about it for a second. Like, if Netflix buys Warner Brothers, the trickle down of that is just so unfathomable. That means Netflix would own all of Warner Brothers. That means Netflix would own HBO and HBO Max. That means Netflix would own DC Studios. Netflix would own the Harry Potter franchise. They would own King Kong. They would own so many different things. It gets messy. It gets so messy. And Netflix has enough. An adult animated G.I. Joe and Transformers crossover series is in the works. This is cool, right? Right? I think this is cool. I like Transformers. And I know what G.I. Joe is. Adult focused in the vein of Invincible is what they're saying. This is just... Look, here's the thing. I don't care for G.I. Joe either, chat. I don't know that that's for me specifically, but why have we been trying to make Transformers like, I don't think kids care about Transformers anymore. I just really don't. Transformers movies have always been kind of like teenager focused. Like, come on, the Megan Fox of it all. And then they kind of lost the plot. They got a little bit crazy. But then they did Transformers 1, which was very clearly a kids animated movie. And it did not do well at all, which is a shame. I thought it was a very good movie, a very heartfelt animated movie, very intentional, all things considered. But I think kids just don't care about Transformers the way they used to. And I don't know. Maybe it's because they're playing with their tablets now and they don't care about the physical, tangible toys as much. That sounds really crotchety, old man of me, but maybe there's some truth to that. So all of that to say, a Transformers series being created to specifically target adult audiences, I think just makes the most sense at this point. Yeah, product placement every 5 frames. When you had Mark Wahlberg drinking a Bud Light as a central point of your movie, you definitely lost the plot. So I think this makes sense. And frankly, like, when it comes to a lot of these legacy brands and legacy IPs coming back to kind of nostalgia bait, I think the biggest mistake that we have is that we're nostalgia baiting, but trying to capture the same target age that originally can watch the show. Like, I think about something like even like, this is a horrible example, I think, but something like Magic School Bus came back. Magic School Bus came back a few years ago when the kids who grew up Magic School Bus did not have kids old enough to watch that show yet. And it was not a type of show that fit, 28-year-old up, right? Like, we're not going to watch Magic School Bus. But something like Transformers coming back as an adult show, yeah, that definitely works. Something like, I don't know, if you brought back Adventure Time and made it a lot more of an adult, sequel series, then you're probably going to have better luck with Adventure Time, right? Because the current generation of folks grew up loving that show. If you did Rugrats all grown up, 30-year-olds, now they're all parents, right? Like, that's going to hit better than if you do a Rugrats reboot that's 3... Wait, they did a Rugrats reboot, didn't they? Oh my god, they did. I completely forgot about it. Oh no, it's atrocious. Oh no, what is this art style? Oh no. Did this actually happen? It had 2 seasons. Oh my god. Thanks, I hate it. Ew. Sometimes things don't need to be in 3D, But I mean, that's exactly it, right? Like, nostalgia bait is a clear component of this industry, but I think there's a way to do it successfully, and kind of what we were talking about earlier with the canceled Star Wars sequel movie that just came out. Like, if you have creatives that are motivated in wanting to do something, by all means, keep it going, right? Something like, looking at my background here, looking at the X-Men mansion makes me think, right? X-Men 97, it brought back the characters and the stories from the 90s animated show and modernized it and aged it up accordingly because it knows that the people that are going to be watching are the people who grew up watching the 90s show, right? Things like that make a little bit more sense. Age up accordingly with your audience and, give them the respect they deserve for remembering your brand. Don't just try and bring it back for like the next generation, because what is that for? A lot of people ask, why does Disney keep doing live action reboots? Well, because like the grown-ups who grew up watching Disney movies feel a little bit less guilty going to the movie theaters to watch real people as opposed to watching an animated movie. And you're not going to remake an animated movie because animation is timeless, but live action technology is not timeless. That's different. All that to say, Transformers, yay. G.I. Joe, I don't know, maybe. Folks, we have an update on the Sam Mendes, what's being called the Beatles cinematic event, because it's not it's not a movie, because it's not just one movie, it's multiple movies. So in case you didn't know, here's the quick info dump on it. Sam Mendes, director of Skyfall and other James Bond movies, is coming up with this incredible feat of making a Beatles cinematic event, which is to say 4 movies about each of the individual Beatles surrounding a single event. So think of this as like the best TV crossover episode ever, but it's at the movie theater. And I'm calling it now. AMC or Regal or someone is going to do an all-for-one marathon screening or something, or like a special type of ticket where you pay extra and you can see all 4 movies. I'm calling it now. But this is our cast. It's Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney, Joseph Quinn as George Harrison, Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr, and Harris Dickinson as John Lennon. I got through that. I just saw Paul Mescal too in Hamnet, and he's an incredible performer. But the update surrounding this movie is that we have some more cast. So we have cast some of the ladies in the Beatles' life for this movie. So the official statement from Sam Mendes: Maureen, Linda, Yoko, and Patty are 4 fascinating and unique figures in their own right, and I'm thrilled that we've managed to persuade 4 of the most talented women working in film today to join this amazing adventure. So those 4 women are Anna Sawai from Shogun, who was an Emmy winner, a Golden Globe winner, and an incredible actress, will be portraying Yoko Ono. I'm very excited about this. Mia McKenna Bruce is going to be portraying Maureen Starkley, who is Ringo Starr's partner. Saoirse Ronan is going to be portraying Linda McCartney, who's Paul McCartney's first wife. And Amy Lou Wood from White Lotus will be playing Patty Boyd, who is George Harrison's partner. There's more casting expected to be coming soon. We still have the unofficial 5th Beatle, who is Brian Epstein or George Martin. It really depends who you ask. But both of them have yet to be cast. This is going to be insane. And I really seriously wonder how in the hell this is going to work, what the box office is going to look like for this. Are we going to count each film individually as a success? Like, which are we going to find out which Beatle has the most pull depending on which movie gets the most, the most love? If the movies are really good and deserve award recognition. Which one do you submit? And if maybe you would submit like Paul Mescal as Paul McCartney for best lead actor in The Beatles, Paul McCartney, but maybe for best supporting actors in the Beatles George Harrison movie. Like, how is this going to work? And is it really just called Sam Mendes The Beatles, a 4-film cinematic event? Like, do we have an official movie title? I don't know. This is so insane, but I love and super respect that they're doing this in the movie theaters, because this so easily could have just been something that they threw up on Netflix or something that they just threw up on HBO Max. So the fact that they're taking a massive risk for this to just be something that goes on in the theaters, I'm here for it. So I will be showing up to all 4 of the movies. All in one day? Probably not. Do they all come out on the same day, or are they going to like split it up? I have no idea. Well, folks, if you hadn't heard, Luca Guadagnino, who is the filmmaker behind such incredible classics like Challengers and that movie Queer that came out recently, and Call Me By Your Name, is working on a reboot of American Psycho, or a remake. I don't know how you would call it. Remake. Yes, it's a remake. It's not a reboot. But Luca Guadagnino is working on a remake of American Psycho, and we have recently learned the rumor that this is meant to be gender swapped, and it looks like Margot Robbie is being eyed to play the lead role. So could this be Margot Robbie's chance to finally get some love from the Academy? Maybe. I don't know. I still think it's really interesting that we're making another American Psycho. Maybe that's a recession indicator, like we were joking about earlier. That being said, like, I think Margot Robbie's an incredible actor, and I don't think we've seen her do a performance like this. And, you know, American Psycho is... I kind of think it's just fine. Like, I don't love American Psycho. Maybe I didn't get it. I don't know. Like, I thought it was interesting enough. So I'm not really dying for a remake of this, but I do like Luca's work. I do like Margot Robbie. So if this does turn out to be the case, I'm all here for it. This is just a rumor at this time, so take it with a huge grain of salt. If there's anything about this that we maybe want to give more weight to, it's the fact that this will be a gender swapped version of the film. If it's not Margot Robbie, it's very likely at least that component remains true. Maybe I rewatch American Psycho and give an honest analytical lens to it. Because full disclosure, the first time I did watch it, I did just kind of like throw it on one day. Made a commentary on masculinity. Oh, well, yeah, 100%. That movie is like a big middle finger to, like, you know, masculinity and a lot of really awful toxic traits in the Wall Street world. So very interested to see, given that, how that could play into a more modernized version with a woman lead. Like, could this be a commentary on sort of the girl boss movement and maybe even like turfism and just radical feminism in the sense of like actually being like patriarchal women, if that makes sense. Like, you know, like the women who are like so bought into like benefiting from the patriarchy that they like perpetrate the patriarchy, that kind of thing. I think that could be really interesting, you know, kind of like, you know, like the people of color who really buy into like some really crazy right-wing ideas, and it's like, you're so deep in the sauce, you don't realize like they're stirring you in the sauce to eat you up too. Speaking of killer women, Jennifer's Body director Kang Kusama teases a sequel. So we had heard over the past few years with kind of the resurgence that Jennifer's Body has had, and having recently rewatched the movie, I kind of get where this is coming from. The movie is great, and it is a very different type of horror movie, and I think definitely was way ahead of its time. But the director basically was talking about how Diablo Cody has expressed interest, the writer has expressed interest in doing a sequel. Both Amanda Seyfried and Megan Fox have made comments about their interest in coming back to do another. And in an interview, Kusama said, "I know Diablo Cody, is working on it right now. I'm very excited to hear what she comes up with. I know some of the bones of it, so I'm not going to give anything away, but it sounds fun and crazy like the first film, and I have no doubt that Diablo will do something absolutely incredible with it." So it seems like this is happening, and, you know, as a film that's had a little bit of a second life and a resurgence in recent years, it is nice to see kind of the same idea of like the legacy sequel coming back for these type of films, and hopefully playing into that dynamic of it. Definitely having the first film set during high school and coming back years later into the same world, I think opens up a lot of different possibilities, especially considering where the first film left off. You know, having seen Amanda Seyfried recently at the Scats Fan Film Festival, stay tuned to hear more about that. I definitely think that she would be interested in doing something like this. And she has expressed interest in the past. She's also expressed interest in coming back to do another Mamma Mia. So, hey, maybe Amanda Seyfried's just going to be returning to some old characters for a little bit. And I'm okay with that because those are a lot of fun. But what do you think? Would y'all like to see a Jennifer's Body sequel? What would you like to see in it? I think for me, I would love to explore more of this world and more of the craziness of it. You know, Diablo Cody also wrote Lisa Frankenstein and made mention to the fact that Lisa Frankenstein takes place in the same world, technically, as Jennifer's Body. I don't know that I fully buy into that, nor do I need to, because they are very different films thematically and, you know, just in general with what happens in that film. That being said, to see more of the world of, you know, whatever demon has possessed Jennifer and others would be very cool to see. So I'm on board for a sequel, 100%. Now, Netflix may be buying Warner Brothers, but do they even need to when they have such incredible hits like Crash Bandicoot animated series officially in the works? Chat, raise your hand if you asked for this. Cries in corporate. Yes, exactly. Hard pass. Why? We don't even have like a Crash Bandicoot like game series going on right now. Like, we don't even need this corporate synergy right now. Like, who is this for? As much as I love Crash, no. Yeah, dude. Yeah, this is just unnecessary. So unnecessary. Especially when it's like an old school game, an old school platformer game like this. Like, what is the point? Like, literally, what is this movie or what is this series? Like, the whole point of the video game is that he's jumping, right? Like, that's Crash Bandicoot. And yes, I know there's story, and yes, but like the story's like you have to stop the bad guy by collecting the thing. Like, come on, let's not pretend it's more complicated than that. So I don't know. I guess PlayStation Studios needs to make a certain amount of productions to still be an active studio, and Netflix needs another Netflix original. See, this is what I mean. Netflix doesn't even like their own originals anymore because this is the type of stuff they're churning out. Anyway, folks, are you excited to watch a Crash Bandicoot animated series? What type of crazy wackiness do you expect to see? You know what's going to really just absolutely suck the ever living everything out of me is that I know for a fact that they're going to have the whoa, 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 whoa meme in the show. You know, that meme that's like years gone by this point and everybody completely forgot that it had anything to do with Crash Bandicoot. That's going to be on there. I promise you. I promise you it's going to be on the show. Anyway, speaking of video game adaptations, Taylor Sheridan is joining Paramount's Call of Duty adaptation. Taylor Sheridan, if you don't know, is the... oops, I closed the tab. Well, Taylor Sheridan, if you don't know, is the filmmaker behind the massive Yellowstone franchise that is your older coworker's favorite show. And Taylor Sheridan has actually just announced that he will be departing Paramount. He's been working with Paramount for the longest time with his Yellowstone series and 1927 and all the other spin-offs that show has. He will be exiting his Paramount exclusivity deal and moving over to Universal, but before that, his last hurrah with them will be working on the Call of Duty movie. So all that to say, if I had to pick someone from Paramount's repertoire, someone who's on their list to make the Call of Duty movie, this is honestly a pretty good choice. Taylor Sheridan, I know that a lot of folks really know him from the Yellowstone franchise. I actually got to know him from some of the movies that he had done. Wind River specifically is a movie of his that I'm a big fan of. That's a movie that stars Elizabeth Olsen and Jeremy Renner. Really fantastic movie. He also did... There's another movie. Oh, Sicario, which we just did earlier today in our movie to movie. He was the writer of the original Sicario movie. So he is an incredible filmmaker, and I think that his voice in a Call of Duty movie could be very interesting. It's just the question of what is this movie going to be about? Unfortunately, you will be watching. I think that's fair. I will probably be watching this as well. I think that the Call of Duty storylines, the single player campaigns of Call of Duty have been pretty good in the past. So I would be very happy to see them lean on some of that. It's just like, I don't know, guys, like we're kind of at the edge of war with everybody right now. So I don't know how excited I am about the idea that we make a movie about pretending to go to war with some of these other countries. I don't know. The vibes ain't right. Yeah. Read the room. Exactly. So I don't know. You know what kind of movies I'm excited about? Some sci-fi movies, man. Keanu Reeves and Tim Miller are teaming up for a sci-fi movie called Shiver. This is exciting. One, because I love Keanu Reeves. Don't we all? Two, because Tim Miller, I think, is a great filmmaker. He is the filmmaker behind the first Deadpool movie. And funny enough, the John Wick franchise was kicked off by the stunt team from Deadpool. So kind of fun to have that happen again. This movie is... Shiver is said to have some shades of Edge of Tomorrow. There's a little bit of a reliving a certain day over and over having to do with it, but plot details are regarding a ne'er-do-well smuggler who finds himself in the middle of a deadly double cross while on a job in the Caribbean, resulting in him surrounded by bodies, hostile mercenaries, and thirsty sharks. He next finds himself in a deathly time loop, scrambling to break the cycle. So this sounds like an absolute fun romp. I love a time cycle movie, a Groundhog Day movie, a Happy Death Day style movie. Tim Miller, I think, is a really... hey, yo, thirsty. Tim Miller is an incredible director, and I think that the stuff he's done with, Love, Death, and Robots, and a lot of stuff in the animated sort of previs world and action design type world is really cool. And obviously Keanu Reeves is just the GOAT. So I am always excited to see him on screen. Michael Waldron, who is a screenwriter responsible for Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, Loki, and of course his recent show Chad Powers, did a Reddit AMA where he talked about some of the different things that he worked on in Marvel Studios, amongst other things. But one of the things that he discussed very lightly was the fact that he was the original writer slated to work on Avengers Kang Dynasty, obviously before that film was scrapped in light of everything that happened with Jonathan Majors. But he did describe here a version of the film that they had worked and pitched on. The question was, as a writer on Kang Dynasty, is there anything that you learned from those initial drafts? Michael Waldron says, Jeff Loveness and I spent an afternoon pitching on the Young Avengers, defeating a version of Kang and being so stoked about it, only to discover that that particular Kang carried a little card that said to be patient with him. It was his first day as a Kang. And then they were so bummed. I think he was going to be the lizard one from the end of Kang Dynasty. I don't know. Anyway, we had fun. So it's kind of crazy to think about what that experience has to be on pitching on different ideas for directions that these multi-million-dollar insane movies can go. It's got to be fun to riff and just have that entire playground to work with. But also, gosh, what a horrible, daunting task. Michael Waldron and other screenwriters that work at Marvel Studios, I do not envy their position, but also it's got to be such a fun opportunity to just be like, what if we just did this, and just finding the version that not only will hit the best with the fans, but also that they just feel the most inspired to keep hitting on. Famously, when the Russo brothers came back for Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars, they called Marcus and McFeely, their team writer duo that they worked on with Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. And initially their answer was no, that they didn't want to work on it. But after enough time, Stephen McFeely kind of thought about it a little bit more, and he just had this idea of like, oh, damn it. Like, I figured out the story. And so he called back the Russo brothers and was like, okay, I'll write this movie. So Stephen McFeely is collaborating with Michael Waldron on Doomsday and Secret Wars. So we will see what ideas actually make it into the final film. And speaking of Multiverse of Madness and Secret Wars and everything, we have Elizabeth Olsen, who recently did an interview that will wonderfully transition us to talking about the Scat Savannah Film Festival. So if you're watching live, stick around. We're going to get into that here shortly. But Elizabeth Olsen made a little bit of a pledge that, God, I hope so many other filmmakers take, which is that she's not in it for the streamers. If a movie is made independently and only sells to a streamer, then fine. But I don't want to make something where streaming is the end all. I think it's important for people to gather as a community, to see other humans be together in a space. That's why I like sports. I think it's really powerful for people to come together for something that they're excited about. We don't even audition in person anymore. And look, if that doesn't speak to the exact experience of why I and so many others love cinema and movies and the film going experience, is exactly that it's meant to be an experience. It's meant to be something that you go to and something that you have fun with. I hate hearing about, Netflix shows and writers on Netflix shows and actors get told, hey, we know that people are watching these things while they're playing on their phone, or they have it on in the background while they're doing their work on their laptops. So we need to create a script where you're saying everything that you're doing because we know they're not actually watching, right? Or we don't want to see these massive multi-million-dollar huge scope movies just get lost away on a phone screen or a tablet screen when you're, oh yeah, I heard this movie had this actor in it and I'm taking a flight right now for Thanksgiving. Yeah, let me throw it on my iPad and watch it there. Like, there's so much intentionality in creative work, to see it just disappear into a streamer where it's just another thumbnail in an endless library of slop. I get it. And I could totally respect any filmmaker and any actor that says, I don't want to take part in just contributing to a mess that is this industry that's fully just taking advantage of creatives and the stuff that we do. So all the power to you, Elizabeth Olsen. And hey, to everyone you watching at home, go watch movies in the movie theater, damn it. Go to the theater and enjoy it. See other people. Not me feeling called out for having you in the background during games. That's different. I'm a Twitch stream. Put me on in the background. In fact, pull up my YouTube videos, hit autoplay, and let it run all day. No, I'm kidding. This is different. I'm not cinema. I'm just a guy. She was great in His Three Daughters, which streamed on Netflix. His Three Daughters was bought by Netflix. And it was, funny enough, at the SCAD Savannah Film Festival last year was where I saw that movie. So, haha, great segue. No, we're not going to jump into it right away because we got to do the outro. But no, yes, theaters are so fun. And if you can, you should 100% watch movies in the movie theaters. But folks, that's going to wrap it up today for the Movie News Monday section of the broadcast. If you ever want to watch one of these lives, make sure you hop on over to Twitch every single Monday. It is called Movie News Monday because that's when I know it's on YouTube on Tuesdays, and then TikTok's on like Wednesdays and but Monday, follow on Twitch. Thank you. If you're here live, the show's not over. We're going to jump into our next thing, but we got to give a shout out to our YouTube videos. Make sure you hit like and subscribe and all those things. Leave a comment about what news got you excited, what news you want me to cover. And I will see you next time. And I will see you at the movies where we should be watching our movies. A-list for life. Yes, chat.